Have you ever been corrected for saying me and my friend went to the movies? Or maybe you've debated the proper use of a comma splice? Welcome everyone. There are just a few examples of the ongoing debate about grammar, how we use language, and the rules that govern it. Today we'll delve into the fascinating world of grammar through two distinct lenses, descriptive and prescriptive. Imagine a team of language detectives. That's essentially what descriptive grammarians are. They observe how people actually use the language in everyday situations, both spoken and written. They analyze patterns and trends in how words are combined, sentences, and structured and communication folds. For instance, a descriptive grammarian would acknowledge the sentences like "they arrived home late" and "late they arrived home" are both grammatically sound, even though the order of the words is different. The flexibility is a natural part of spoken language. Prescriptive grammar, on the other hand, takes a more rule-oriented approach. It dictates a set of guidelines on how language should be used, often based on historical conventions or established standards of formal writing. Think of it as a rulebook for proper language use. The tension between descriptive and prescriptive grammar has been around for centuries. Prescriptivists often advocate for correctness and adherence to established rules, while descriptives argue that language is a living, evolving entity, and the rules themselves should adapt to how people naturally communicate. Throughout this presentation, we'll explore the strengths and weaknesses of both approaches. We'll see how descriptive grammar helps us understand the nuances of language, while prescriptive grammar provides us a framework for clear and formal communication. By the end, you'll gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of grammar and how these two perspectives can enhance your language skills. To refresh our memory, the last slide introduced the concept of descriptive grammar. Unlike prescriptive grammar, with its sets of rules, descriptive grammar takes a more scientific approach. Imagine a language of anthropologists. Descriptive grammarians are essentially observers of the language in its natural habitat. Everyday conversations, emails, new articles, and even social media posts. They meticulously analyze these real-world examples to identify patterns and trends in how we use the language. For instance, a descriptive grammarian might notice that people often use slang terms like "gonna" instead of "going to" in casual speech. This doesn't mean "gonna" is wrong according to descriptive grammar, it simply reflects a common usage pattern. Descriptive grammar isn't concerned with imposing a specific way of speaking or writing. Its focus is on understanding the language as it's actually used by people across different cultures, regions, and social groups. This includes analyzing variations in dialect, slang, and even informal writing styles. By understanding descriptive grammar, we gain valuable insights into how language functions in the real world. It helps us appreciate the flexibility and dynamism of language and how it constantly adapts to communication needs. This knowledge can be incredibly useful. It allows us to become more effective communicators, tailoring our language to different situations and audiences. Prescriptive grammar acts as a rulebook for language use. It dictates a set of guidelines on how language should be used according to established standards. These standards can be based on historical conventions, formal writing styles, or even the judgment of language authorities. For instance, prescriptive grammar might advocate for avoiding contractions like "don't" or "can't" in formal writing. Prescriptive rules might frown upon sentence fragments or split infinitives, even though they can be perfectly clear and grammatically sound according to descriptive analysis. The core principle of prescriptive grammar revolves around the concept of correctness. It aims to promote a specific standard of language use, often associated with formality and adherence to established rules. Prescriptive grammar acts as a cornerstone for formal communication by establishing a set of guidelines or correct language use. It ensures consistency and clarity in official documents, academic writing, legal contracts, and other formal settings. Imagine a lawyer drafting a legal document. Adherence to prescriptive rules helps avoid ambiguity and ensures the document is interpreted accurately. Prescriptive grammar can also promote clarity in writing and speaking by following established rules such as avoiding dangling modifiers or subject-verb agreement errors. Writers and speakers can ensure their message is conveyed effectively and easily understood by the audience. For instance, following prescriptive grammar helps avoid sentences like walking down the street or a red car was seen. This clarity is crucial in situations where clear and precise communication is paramount. In certain professions and educational settings, prescriptive grammar plays a role in creating a common ground for communication. Following established standards can help maintain professionalism and ensure everyone involved is using language in a way that is widely understood within the specific context. It's important to acknowledge the limitations of prescriptive grammar. Language is a constantly evolving entity, and prescriptive rules can sometimes become outdated. What was considered correct in grammar in the past might not reflect the natural flow of language today. Additionally, a rigid adherence to prescriptive rules can stifle creativity in writing and communication. The role of prescriptive grammar lies in providing a framework for clear and formal communication in specific contexts. However, it's important to be flexible in its application and recognize the value of descriptive grammar in understanding the natural evolution of language. We've seen how descriptive grammar studies how language is actually used, while prescriptive grammar dictates rules for how language should be used. Now let's take a closer look at the key differences between these two approaches, as highlighted in the table on the side. One fundamental difference lies in their approach. Descriptive grammar acts as an observer. It analyzes real-world examples of language use, spoken conversations, emails, social media posts, and so on. Prescriptive grammar, on the other hand, takes an enforcement role. It sets forth a list of rules and dictates how language should be used according to established standards. Descriptive grammar embraces the dynamic nature of language. It acknowledges that language constantly evolves and new words, phrases, and grammatical structures emerge over time. Prescriptive grammar, on the other hand, prioritizes established standards. It aims to uphold a certain level of formality and adherence to traditional rules. Descriptive grammar is a context-sensitive. It recognizes that language use can vary depending on the situation, the speaker, and the purpose of communication. Prescriptive grammar strives for universality. It aims to establish a set of rules that apply to all situations regardless of the context. In essence, descriptive grammar provides a scientific lens for understanding how language works in the real world, while prescriptive grammar offers a more rule-based approach to formal communication. Understanding these differences can help us appreciate the value of both approaches and become more effective communicators. Let's summarize the strengths and weaknesses of descriptive and prescriptive grammar. Descriptive grammar excels at understanding how language naturally functions and evolves. It helps us appreciate the flexibility and dynamism of language use. However, it can lack clear-cut standards and may seem subjective in its analysis. Prescriptive grammar, on the other hand, provides a framework for clear and formal communication. It establishes a set of guidelines for correct usage, which can be especially valuable in formal settings. However, it can sometimes restrict creativity and may not always reflect the natural flow of a language. The key takeaway is that both approaches offer valuable insights. Descriptive grammar helps us understand how language works, while prescriptive grammar helps us use it effectively in specific contexts. In conclusion, our exploration of grammar has revealed two valuable approaches: descriptive and prescriptive. Descriptive grammar sheds light on how language naturally works and evolves. Prescriptive grammar provides a framework for clear and formal communication. By understanding these strengths, can become more versatile communicators. Remember, the key is to find a balance between understanding rules and using language creatively and appropriately in various situations. With this knowledge, we can navigate the ever-changing world of language with confidence and effectiveness. Thank you for joining me on this journey through grammar. I hope this exploration has ignited your curiosity and appreciation for the power of language.